Om Sthavakaya cha dharmasya sarvadharma swarupine Sthavakaya cha dharmasya sarvadharma swarupine Avatara varishtaya Ramakrishna te namah Asato ma sadgamaya Tamaso ma jyotirgamaya Mrityormamritangamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us offer our salutations to Sri Ramakrishna, the embodiment of all religions. Let us pray to him, the Supreme Lord of the universe, to lead us from the unreal to the real, to lead us from the darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, to lead us from death to immortality. Today's topic I have chosen from the Gospel, practice of austerity. If you are really seeking spiritual life, you must be ready for austerity. Sri Ramakrishna has said in the Gospel, what's the use of merely reciting the written parts for the drum? It is very difficult to put them into practice on the instrument. What can be accomplished by a mere lecture? It is austerity that is necessary. By that alone can one comprehend. Again Sri Ramakrishna says in another place, by dint of austerity, a man may obtain God as his son. By the roadside on the way to Kamarpukur is Ranjit Rai's lake. Bhagavati, the Divine Mother, was born as his daughter through the power of the tapasya of Ranjit Rai. Sri Ramakrishna said to Pandit Shashadhar, there are many scriptures like the Vedas, but one cannot realize God without austerity and spiritual discipline. God cannot be found in the 6 systems, the Vedas or the Tantra. Those who realized God through austerity, japa and the like are called sadhana siddha, perfect through spiritual discipline. Once a devotee asked the master, we read the scriptures, why is it that we can't assimilate them? Sri Ramakrishna replied, what will one accomplish by mere reading? One needs spiritual practice, austerity. Call on God. What's the use of merely repeating the word siddhi? One must eat a little of it. One must labor a little while at the stage of sadhana. Then the path becomes easy. Steer the boat around the curves of the river and then let it go with the favorable wind. The darkness of the mind is destroyed only when a man stands a little apart from lust and gold, and thus standing apart practices a little austerity and spiritual discipline. Then only does the cloud of his ego and ignorance vanish. Then only does he attain the knowledge of God. This lust and gold is the only cloud that hides the sun of knowledge. One practices japa, austerity and fasting in order to acquire love of God. Devotion to God may be said to be green so long as it doesn't grow into love of God, but it becomes ripe when it has grown into such love. So how Sri Ramakrishna has stressed the importance of practicing austerity. Seeking the way to spiritual realization. From ancient times, men and women have tried again and again different kinds of practice. Austerity is one of them. It is based on the idea that the human mind is in itself pure, but the existence of the physical body prevents it from cutting away the desires, which are the root of the conflict in man. This idea is very ancient, and the practice of austerity of the physical body, in order to cut away attachment, subdue all desires, and purify the spirit, can be traced back a very long way in India. Against the passive and negative discipline represented by not killing and not having possessions, austerity represents an active and positive practice. The original Sanskrit word for austerity is tapas, which has a basic sense of heat. When the person does tapas for sufficiently long time, It generates heat, a special type of heat, tapojjwala, they say. So, from the practice of austerity, a heat is stored up in the body by the power of which success may be secured. In the ancient Rigveda, it is said that by austerity, God Indra attained heaven. By austerity, the sages attained their powers. Austerity indeed was the source of all power. In the Hindu creation, Brahma, the highest principle, produced heat through austerities and gave birth to this universe. The Ganges was originally flowing in heaven, and the sage Bhagirath had to perform austerities for many years to be able to bring it down to flow on earth for the sake of the people. In such legends and traditions are shown the many fruits and virtues of austerity. So tapas is austerity, in other words, self-discipline. This refers to strength of character and the resolve of determination to pursue daily practices. Egolessness and selfless service are the greatest forms of tapas. Humility and desirelessness are the greatest forms of austerity. Karma Yoga is selfless service which grounds us in desirelessness and helps us to be humble. It cultivates a state of letting go of the ego. There are endless possibilities for the practice of Karma Yoga, and the result is removing those obstacles of attachment, aversion and egoism. Austerity can include such disciplinary practices like fasting or having a meager diet. It is doing without or doing with the minimum. It is very related to the yama, aparigraha or non-possessiveness. A moderate austerity trains the will and develops the body and mind for the highest yogic practice. How can you establish austerity in your life? Can you do more selfless service for others? What sort of disciplines can you more firmly establish into your life? Should you fast or do without something for a period of time to work on desirelessness as a discipline? How can you be more humble? Practice tapas. Austerity is bitter to the modern mind. The self-abnegation it involves, the compulsion it smacks of, the rigor it imposes, the foregoing of pleasurable indulgence it is based on. These are too much for ordinary mortals who like to flit from ease to ease and migrate from comfort to comfort. They react adversely to the least strain on body and mind and would not endure the smallest inconvenience to the jolly routine they think life is and should be. They want to be natural, as they would put it. But austerity is what gives prestige to personality. It is a sure sign of one's self-mastery. It is a symbol of non-enslavement to surface emotions and brute urges. It raises man above the animal standard. Austerity should not be felt to be a hardship. It is an aspect of higher individuality and must be welcomed as a purifying agent. It burns up many unsuspected nefarious tendencies in us and tones up our system. It is a healthy regulator of life and a constant safeguard against our succumbing to the lure of the flesh and the call of the caprice. It is really natural to man. The opposite is natural only to the animal and never to man. Civilization is reared on the practice of austerity, which is the bedrock of true culture. An individual and a community which are totally devoid of austerity are sure to lack the quality of discipline and cannot be expected to promote any interest, even self-interest. Austerity, as we said, is in no way unnatural to man. It is there in his very instinct. It must not be allowed to become obsolete. Man is not worth his stuff if he doesn't establish control over himself. And for attaining self-mastery, austerity is highly helpful. For austerity is but this stern refusal to let the lower nature in man have its own way and play pranks. There are two forces ever at war in man. One is the urge to respond to the still small voice tirelessly counseling higher purpose and upward exploration. And the other is the call of the chaos to yield to hellish inducements to feed the appetite of the flesh, an appetite which grows on what it feeds on. Man's salvation or damnation lies in which of the two he chooses to ally himself with. Austerity is of several kinds. It may relate to food, it may relate to clothing, sleep, etc. It may be practiced in respect of life's comforts and conveniences. It may take the shape of vow and vigil and fast, penance and continence. It may aim at body culture as well as at mind culture. It may express itself as going through a course of prayer or of scriptural study. Austerity induces the conversion of animal propensity into chastened expressions. It helps the formation of fortitude. Austerity may be misused too. In the epics and myths of ancient times, we read of giants endowed with superhuman power, taking to the practice of severe austerities for augmenting their power and diverting that power to inflict untold misery on the dwellers of earth and heaven. This is perverted austerity, and it has always resulted in the downfall of the person who abuses austerity. In the 17th chapter of the Gita, Lord Krishna says, Ashastra vihitam ghoram tapyantiye tapojanaha dhambahankara samyukta kamaraga balanvidaha karshayantaha sharirastam bhutagrama machetasaha man chaivanta sharirastam tan vidyasura nischayam. Lord Krishna denounces such austerity in very strong terms. Ashastra vihitam, not enjoined by the Shastras. Ghoram, terrible. Dhambahankara samyukta, given to ostentation and egoism. Kamaraga balanvita, given to lust and attachment, etc. Austerity is not to be made an end in itself. Its purpose should not be to win for the austere person cheap popularity as a man of spiritual worth. It must only be a means to the conditioning of the body and mind to a state in which rapid advance in self-perfecting is possible through a rigorous application to Atma Sadhana. Austerity should not be confused with external singularities like matted hair and flowing beard, scanty clothing and unclipped nails, dead peculiarities and queer behavior. Austerity must be a lasting attitude of the mind, a habitual temperament, an unchanging mood rather than any physical performance of our bodily oddity. The Gita extols true austerity and clearly points out what its characteristics are. For instance, austerity on the bodily plane, it says, consists in revering and adoring the gods and the Guru and the holy and wise ones, and in cleanliness and straightforwardness, continence and non-injury. Austerity relating to vocal faculty lies in speaking words which do not offend and are truthful and pleasing and beneficial, and in studying sacred scripture. Austerity of the mind is present where are found clarity, affection, silence, self-control, purity of motive, etc. Such a threefold training in austerity makes for the growth of a well-balanced and well-integrated personality. Unfortunately, the dust and the din of modern life and their effect on young and growing minds have generally been inimical to the cultivation of austerity. This is a situation which is not conducive to the preservation and intensification of our spiritual culture and tradition. The old brahmacharya discipline to which students were subjected was a great training in austerity. Family life also was, in days of yore, rooted in many checks rather than inducements to indulgence. There is an unhealthy disintegration today in the sphere of social life, a loosening of the screws which safeguard ordered living. There must be a recall and return to sound austerity if the atmosphere should be freed from corrupting influences. The Sanskrit word for austerity is tapas. Tapas is not for rishis only. Of course, they do a lot of it. But a little of tapas is possible and necessary for every person according to his capacity. Swami Vivekananda says, the idea of tapas penetrates the whole of Hindu religion. The Hindus even say that God made tapas to create the world. It is a mental instrument with which to do everything. And many direct disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, giants in spirituality, who had realized the truth, they have made remarkable observations about the importance of austerity. Swami Brahmananda Ji, referring to austerity, he said, what is austerity? It is to direct the mind toward God in order to taste divine bliss. Because the mind runs after so many other things. Unless you are very strong, unless you are determined, unless you are focused on the ideal, it is not possible to bring the mind according to what you want. So mind runs away the moment you try to fix it. It runs faster than before. So that is austerity, trying to somehow control the mind from running here and there. The path in this age is to create the desire to chant the Lord's name, to be compassionate toward all beings, and to serve holy men. A little physical austerity is also good sometimes. For instance, on the day of the new moon, or on the 11th day after the new or the full moon, eat only one meal. It is an austerity. You must practice severe austerities, Brahmanji says. But by this I don't mean physical austerities or the torture of the body. I don't mean that. Real austerity consists in the control of the passions. Passion must never be allowed to raise its head. But remember, religion is not for the eunuch, not for the impotent, nor for the one who maims his body. Body austerities are not real austerities. Anyone can practice them. The body is easily controlled, but it is another matter to control the mind. It is very difficult to renounce lust and greed, to give up the desire for name and fame. Real austerity, Swami Brahmanji continues, is based upon three principles. First, take refuge in the truth. Truth is the pillar to which you must always hold while performing any action. Second, conquer lust. Third, renounce all cravings. Observe these three principles. That is real austerity. And the greatest of these is to conquer lust. Do you think that there is any fixed catalogued price of so much austerity, so much japam, so much charity, etc. for God realization? None can force realization of it. None can force realization of Him. But if you don't keep up a regular spiritual struggle, you will not be able to hold it when it comes. Another disciple, Swami Chidananda said, yes, spiritual exercises are very necessary. And so also are austerities. The only means of keeping the course of one's life directed towards God is spiritual effort. But why should one think that this spiritual struggle and austerity can have only one form? Look here, for instance. What suffering you undergo, and what a fight you have to wage against adverse circumstances to carry on God's work. This too is a kind of austerity and spiritual struggle. The one idea that you always have to keep burning in your heart is that whatever you do is for His sake, for His service, nothing for yourselves. You must be well rooted in that attitude. Being indifferent to praise and blame, honor and dishonor, and happiness and sorrow, and with the mind fixed on God alone, being immersed in meditation and prayer, this is what is called austerity. Mere self-mortification on the bodily plane is not austerity. Another disciple, Swami Premananji, he said, austerity means making the lips correspond with the heart. Man achieves greatness, large-heartedness, and guilelessness by the tapasya, practice of austerity, of many births, and only through the grace of God. Another great disciple, Swami Turiyananji, he said, even if a single organ remains uncontrolled, all austerities, all efforts after spirituality become useless, even as When there is a single hole in a pitcher, all the water escapes through that. Adbhutananji, another disciple, he says, you will have to discriminate between the real and the unreal. To keep one's discrimination alert is a great austerity. And Swami Abhedanji, he said, if you desire to have firm and unshakable faith and devotion to the Lord, you should also take to tapasya, hard austerities. Tapasya does not mean aimless wandering hither and thither. It really means regular, steadfast japa, meditation and self-control. So what all you are doing is tapas only. Coming to this class is a tapas. Terrible cold outside, long distance, so many attractions. With all that, making the mind to come and somehow attend the class, that is austerity. So if you hold on to it, if you do it wholeheartedly, willingly, then definitely it gives result. These are all observations made by direct disciples of Sri Ramakrishna. Spiritual life means you are already practicing austerity. That means constantly trying to bring the mind towards God. Whenever it runs towards the world, trying to bring it back, fix it on God. Making the spiritual mind more and more strong, that is austerity. No doubt everyone has to pass through some difficult circumstances. Sometimes the samskaras, they just come and attack from nowhere. Sometimes you succumb to those samskaras. But each one's samskara is different. So each one has to fight in his own way or her own way to fight the negative impulses, to fight the negative forces, to see that mind is controlled properly. So controlling of the mind is called austerity. So various practices are mentioned. Karma yoga, jnana yoga, bhakti yoga, all these. Wholeheartedly trying to develop the love of God. That is austerity. So, Sri Ramakrishna has said that be austere in the real sense of the term. Not simply torturing the body. Not that way. But using it in a proper way, it helps you towards realization. But austerity used in a wrong way destroys the man. You have got a lot of stories. Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha, so many demons. Huge power they had. Tremendous power. So, how did they get that power? Through austerity. But it was misused. Austerity was done not for the sake of realizing the truth, but for name and power, position. So, how they could not reach the goal of realizing the truth. On the other hand, they got destroyed themselves. So, use and abuse are there. It depends upon how you manipulate, how you hold, how you have hold on it. Whatever you do it in a reasonably controlled way and do it consciously with tremendous faith and willpower. It should be possible. So practice of austerity towards realization of the truth is very important. All the rishis reached their highest state only through austerity. So austerity means self-discipline. You have to discipline yourself and you have to monitor yourself. Everyone knows one's weakness. So accordingly, one should fight those weaknesses rather than succumbing to them. That's what Sri Ramakrishna very clearly says in the Gospel. Sri Ramakrishna is saying to one devotee, it is God alone who has become the universe, living beings and the 24 cosmic principles. When he is actionless, I call him Brahman. When he creates, preserves and destroys, I call him Shakti. Brahman and Shakti are not different from each other. Water is water, whether it is still or moving. It is not possible to rid oneself of I consciousness. And as long as one is aware of this I consciousness, one cannot speak of the universe and its living beings as unreal. You cannot get the correct weight of the bell fruit if you leave out its shell and pits. The brick, lime and brick dust of which the stairs are made are the same brick, lime and brick dust of which the roof is made. The universe and its living beings exist on account of the reality of him who is known as Brahman. The devotees, the Vijnanis, accept both God with form and the formless. both the personal God and the impersonal. In a shoreless ocean, an infinite expanse of water, visible blocks of ice are formed here and there by intense cold. Similarly, under the cooling influence, so to say, of the deep love of its worshipper, the infinite reduces itself to the finite and appears before the worshipper as God with form. Again, as on the rising of the sun, the ice melts away, so on the awakening of knowledge, God with form melts away into the same infinite and formless. As long as a man analyzes with the mind, he cannot reach the absolute. As long as you reason with your mind, you have no way of getting rid of the universe and the objects of the senses, form, taste, smell, touch and sound. When reasoning stops, you attain the knowledge of Brahman. Atman cannot be realized through this mind. Atman is realized through Atman alone. Pure mind, pure buddhi, pure Atman, all these are one and the same. Just think how many things you need to perceive an object. You need eyes, you need light, you need mind. You cannot perceive the object if you leave out any one of these three. As long as the mind functions, how can you say that the universe and the I do not exist? When the mind is annihilated, when it stops deliberating pro and con, then one goes into samadhi. One attains the knowledge of Brahman. You know the 7 notes of the scale, sa, re, ga, ma, pa, da, ni. One cannot keep one's voice on the ni very long. Looking at the younger Naren, Sri Ramakrishna said, what will you say, what will you gain by merely being intuitively aware of God's existence? A mere vision of God is by no means everything. You have to bring him in your room, you have to bring him in your room. You have to talk to him. Some have heard of milk, some have seen milk, and some have drunk milk. Some have seen the king, but only 1 or 2 can bring the king home and entertain him. Yam went to the Ganges to take his bath. It was 10 o'clock. Sri Ramakrishna was still talking with the devotees. After finishing his bath, Yam returned to Balram's house. He saluted the master and sat down near him. Sri Ramakrishna was filled with intense spiritual fervor. Words of wisdom flowed from him. Now and then he narrated his profound mystical experiences to the devotees. Sri Ramakrishna said, I went to Benares with Madhur Babu. Our boat was passing the Manikarnika Ghat on the Ganges when suddenly I had a vision of Shiva. I stood near the edge of the boat and went into samadhi. The boatman, fearing that I might fall into the water, cried to Hriday, catch hold of him, catch hold of him. I saw Shiva dancing on that ghat, embodying in himself all the seriousness of the world. At first I saw him standing at a distance. Then I saw him approaching me. At last he merged in me. Shiva merging in Sri Ramakrishna. Another time, in an ecstatic mood, I saw that a sannyasi was leading me by the hand. We entered a temple and I had a vision of Annapurna made of gold. God alone has become all this, but he manifests himself more in certain things than in others. To Yam he said, perhaps you do not believe in the salagram. Englishmen do not believe in it. It doesn't matter whether you believe it or not. It doesn't matter whether you believe in it or not. A salagram should contain the mark of a disc and other signs. Only then can it be worshipped as an emblem of God. Yam said, yes sir, it is like the fuller manifestation of God in a man with good physical traits. Master said, at first Narendra used to say that these were figments of my imagination, but now he accepts everything. Sri Ramakrishna was describing the vision of God when he went into samadhi. The devotees looked at him with fixed gaze. After a long time, he regained consciousness of the world and talked to the devotees. Master said to him, what do you think I saw? I saw the whole universe as a salagram, and in it I saw your 2 eyes. In silent wonder, M and the devotees listened to these words about his inner experience. At this moment, Sharada, another young disciple of the Master, entered the room and saluted him. Master said to Sharada, why don't you come to Dakshineshwar? Why don't you see me when I come to Calcutta? Sharada, Nobody tells me about it, Master. Next time I shall let you know. To Yam, smilingly, Sri Ramakrishna said, make a list of these youngsters. Yam and the devotees laughed. Sharda said, my relatives at home want me to marry. Pointing to Yam, how many times he has scolded me about marriage. That means Sharda is referring to Yam and telling Master, how many times he has scolded me about marriage. Master said, why should you marry just now? To Yam, Sri Ramakrishna said, Sharda is now in a very good state of mind. Formerly, he had a hesitant look. Now his face beams with joy. We shall stop here. So, austerity. Spiritual life means austere life. That means you have to have full control about your system. You must have control over your operating system. That's the meaning of austerity. Any question? Silence means no question. Chant the name of the Lord and His glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean and quench that mighty forest fire, worldly lust raging furiously within. Own name streamed down in moonlight on the lotus heart, opening its cup to knowledge of thyself. O self, drowned deep in the waves of His bliss, tasting His nectar at every step, bathing in His name that bath for weary souls. Various are thy names, O Lord, in each and every name thy power resides. No times are set, no rites are needful for chanting of thy name. So vast is thy mercy, how huge then is my wretchedness, who find in this empty life and heart no devotion to thy name. O my mind, be humbler than a blade of grass. Be patient and forbearing like a tree. Take no honor to thyself, give honor to all. Chant unceasingly the name of the Lord. O Lord and soul of the universe, mine is no prayer for wealth or retinue. The playthings of lust or the ties of fame. As many times as I may be reborn, grant me, O Lord, a steadfast love for thee. A drowning man in this world's fearful ocean is thy servant, O sweet one. In thy mercy consider him as dust beneath thy feet. Ah, how I long for the day, when an instant separation from thee, O Lord, will be as 1,000 years, when my heart burns away with its desire, and the world without thee is a heartless void. Prostrate at thy feet let me be, in unwavering devotion, neither imploring the embrace of thine arms, nor bewailing the withdrawal of thy presence, though it tears my soul asunder. O thou who stillest the hearts of thy devotees, do with me what thou wilt, for thou art my heart's beloved, thou and thou alone. O Lord, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness to light, and lead us from death to immortality. May all be free from dangers, may all realize what is good, may all be actuated by noble thoughts, may all rejoice everywhere. May all be happy, may all be free from disease, may all realize what is good, may none be subject to misery. May the wicked become virtuous, may the virtuous attain tranquility, may the tranquil be free from bonds, may the freed make others free. May good be at all people, may the sovereign righteously rule the earth. May all beings ever attain what is good, may the worlds be prosperous and happy. May the clouds pour rain in time, may the earth be blessed with crops. May all countries be freed from calamity, may holy men live without fear. May the Lord, the restorer of sins, the presiding deity of all sacred works, be satisfied. For he being pleased, the whole universe becomes pleased. He being satisfied, the whole universe feels satisfied.